politics and the economics. Starting with politics, the Labour has been up in Warwickshire, where Ed Miliband set out his new policy.
Right, I'm live.
10 days of the 2015 general election and no really big play from the big parties so far. TV non-debates have come and gone, endorsement letters signed by hundreds, but this is hard slog electioneering. Nothing yet to dislodge stubbornly stuck opinion polls until last night, what Labour believes to be one of their big gambles, banning wealthy UK residents, limiting the tax payment on their foreign earnings, non-doms. The coalition has already introduced a charge of at least £30,000 for non-doms in this country more than 7 years, but Labour felt today they were outflanking them. Just before Miliband got to his feet, this emerged.
If you abolish the whole status, that probably ends up costing Britain money, because there'll be some people who then leave the country. But I think we can be tougher, and we should be, and we will.
Despite Ed Balls' scepticism, just 3 months later, Labour have found a way.
Whether you own property abroad, whether you have a bank account overseas, whether you own a burial plot abroad, even whether you subscribe to an overseas newspaper. Now, look, I want to be clear, I don't blame these individuals for taking advantage of non-dom status, because these are after all the rules, and they're playing by those rules. I mean, you could say that more than any other policy, this has been a failure of government or the economy.
So if it is the case that it doesn't raise money, there's a question mark about that. Is it still the right thing to do, or do you stop it because it's not bringing in money? Which is it? Is it deficit reduction?
Both.
But if it's the case that it
I
doesn't
don't
bring any money
buy the argument about not raising resources, and nor do independent experts. And I also am absolutely clear this is the right principle. If both of these arguments are right, and we're not going to carry on, to be clear about this, we're not carrying on with this rule. We are clear, we're abolishing this rule, and it's the right thing to do. And, I just think people will have to make up their own minds on this. But how do you justify a system whereby people can be here year after year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, enjoy all the same privileges as anyone else in that country, and not pay tax?
The policy aimed at its core votes, this policy that some swing voters may even like, but it's not a surprising policy from Ed Miliband, but right now, that might not matter. One Freedom of Information request says there were 110,700 non-doms in the tax year 2012. Of these, some 47,000 elected to pay tax as non-doms. Tax lawyer and Labour supporter Jolyon Moore estimated the policy could raise $4 billion if all non-doms stayed in the country. But since some proportion of Britain's experts believe that only $1 billion is possible. Even the Labour leader thinks that's too generous.
Every time there is a change to the remittance basis of taxation, those who service high net worth individuals, particularly high net worth non-dom individuals, particularly in the city, run around calling the sky will fall in. And that is what has happened today. There's been an awful lot of rhetoric about this change, but there's been no serious challenge to the quality of the exercise of that now.
Ed Miliband came to the Midlands to bury non-doms. It's a region of deep political significance, like the town of Tamworth. This is the birthplace of the non-Conservative Party, where Robert Peel turned them from being a party of tops into one for the new middle classes. Over the course of this parliament, David Cameron has tried to modernize his party with varying degrees of success. And today, Ed Miliband came here to the Midlands to paint the Tories as out of touch. The Midlands matter. The Conservatives are sitting on constituencies here with weight-for-thin majorities marked in blue. The heart of a convincing election win will be partly based on how well Ed Miliband can do here in these Midland marginals. The non-dom offer today is intended to show Labour will sculpt an economy for, in their words, the many. But how did it go down in nearby Warwickshire North, the easiest seat in the country for Labour to win?
I think that people who earn more money in this country should pay more tax because they earn more money, so they should contribute back to this country.
Do you think the wealthy in this country are taxed enough?
No.
The wealthy should be taxed a lot more. The working class people are taxed an awful lot.
Do you know what a non-dom is?
I don't know what a non-dom is now.
No, I do not know what a non-dom is. I don't know what it means.
Like the seat itself, opinion there in Warwickshire North split between Labour and the Tories, but only one person Newsnight met knew what a non-dom was. Labour may need its next big idea to be more understandable to the folk at the bus stop in their key seats.
Well, Allegra there up in Warwickshire. Now, one reason why Labour's announcement is such a big deal is the possibility that it represents a huge shift in the way we see ourselves trying to earn a living. The big European nations have their own specialties. The Germans do high-end engineering. The French have some large and successful state enterprises. What does Britain do? It has a huge industry called London, which sells services to the rest of the world, and many of those services to the super rich. You don't have to go back far to remember a time when the world's rich didn't live in Britain, nor in fact did the British rich.
During 74, the Labour government got it. So I was advised not to come back at that time.
So much for the green grass of home. But when taxes fell and financial services grew, it all changed. London became something of a global hub, and we noticed that people like Madonna wanted to make a home here. This is one of London's most expensive streets, pleasantly leafy, a church and garden in the middle, less than 3 miles from Piccadilly Circus. I sometimes walk the dog here actually because it's very peaceful, and he can sniff the lampposts and I can salivate over the properties. I can't be sure that any non-doms live here, but with these homes worth in the tens of millions, this is certainly their terrain. Has to be said, there is a downside to this street. The super rich are forever digging basements, so they are destined to permanently be living next to building sites. But the key thing is their money matters. What rich foreigners bring into the country ends up as somebody's earnings. Our residents dig their basements, our lawyers handle their divorces, our accountants help their global companies avoid tax, our estate agents earn commissions on the properties they buy. Ed Mead is one of those high-end estate agents catering to the super rich. So tell me what you think this super prime market means for your income, for your business, and people you employ.
If you think about all the things that happen when people buy a house, the people they employ, the shopping, the employees, there's a huge amount of money being spent. And of course, a lot of that's indirect taxation. And if you lose those people, you have a serious effect on the market. It trickles down below just the expensive.
Now, annoyingly, there are no official figures for the size of the non-dom or the super rich economy, but we do have figures for the importance of services in our exports. When it comes to physical goods, Britain is the 8th biggest exporter in the world. When it comes to commercial services, we're number 2, second only to the United States. To put this into context, in 2013, we exported £307 billion of physical goods to the rest of the world. That's most of what we sell. But we exported £47 billion of financial services and £50 billion of what are called miscellaneous business services, everything from law to research to architecture to advertising. But there are 2 important questions for London and for Britain to be a player in these industries. Does the country need to attract rich global residents? And if it does it matter to those rich residents? There's something called non-dom status. All right, well, joining me now to work through the pros and cons of the non-doms are the Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Chris Leslie. Also from Nottingham, former Conservative Chancellor, Ken Clark. Also with me here in the studios, journalist Marianne Seagard and Reverend Gregoria, who specialises in securing London properties for money and net worth. I'm going to start with the politicians. Ken Clark, let me start with you, because you're a Chancellor. I'm sure you thought about abolishing non-doms. Why didn't you?
Well, I think it has been changing for years. I mean, obviously, a tax system needs to be fair, and you should reform it if there's evidence of actual abuse. But the problem today is the worst kind of election promise on the stuff. It sounds great, very populist. Ed Miliband from his speech makes it clear he knows not the first thing about the tax rules of domicile, which always determines where you pay tax. It's actually humiliated the man who intends to be Chancellor, who knows perfectly well this is a difficult subject, and if you merely make business up and running as part of perhaps that worldwide nest of businesses. That is how the globalized economy works. We're a very attractive place for inward investment. But if they just come here to live here, they actually do no harm, but they put a lot of money into the economy with, no doubt, extravagant living. If you tell them that to live here at all, they've got to pay tax to the British on all their worldwide income, even in some cases when they're paying some other countries demanding they pay tax on that income in their country, then not only may they leave, anybody with the slightest common sense will leave. It's just populist nonsense. If he does this every day between now and the election day, then what's already a collection of gimmicks for the Labour Party is going to become extremely damaging. There's any chance of them becoming government.
Let me ask you this. Sorry, Ken Clark. Let me just ask you this. Do you agree or not that there have been, in the growth of non-dom since you were Chancellor, there have been some grotesque abuses of people? You've described people coming to Britain, bringing wealth they've accumulated around the world, and then settling in Britain. Some of us have been struck by people who we thought were British, who were educated here, born here, resident here, have always run companies here. But frankly, they turn out to be non-doms paying tax. And they, instead of coming to Britain with their wealth, they put all their wealth overseas so that they're not paying tax in Britain. And that is ridiculous.
The domicile rule is extremely complicated.
Abuse or not? Is there abuse or not?
If there's abuse, you should tackle it. It's nonsense. I forget about saying that you can get non-dom status by subscribing to an overseas newspaper. I mean, that's just nonsense. The British people are those who have demonstrated a settled intention of making their ultimate home back in some other country where they live.
You're not telling me that everybody who's called themselves a non-dom and is getting away with non-dom status is really, really thinking of burying themselves in a foreign country when they die.
Well, if their real home is not overseas, if their real intention, then regardless of settled overseas, they don't qualify. These are
they are qualifying, is the point, isn't it?
Well, the evidence demonstrate that they are, and if there is abuse, and there is abuse, I'm not the first to reforming, revising it. I'm all in favour of getting as much revenue for this country out of rich people once they're here as you possibly can. But it is a total nonsense to assume that given they pay tax on their British income, that somehow you can simply say, well, now you pay tax on all your worldwide income and they won't go away. And the idea that you can easily get non-dom status is not true, and George Osborne has increased the tax charges we put on non-doms to maximise revenue where it can be raised from these people.
Let me go to Chris Living. Ken Clark says this is just that's up for the campaign. How are you thinking about it? When did you decide?
Well, we've been looking at this obviously for quite a long period of time. Ed Balls was quoted famously now being interviewed about it, but the issue that has been vexing a lot of people is how do you deal with those temporary people who genuinely are, for a short 2 or 3 year period, wanting their residence in the UK. They might be students, they might be on Scotland. And we found a way of resolving that. We can abolish the total non-dom status, total anachronism, 200 years old with completely ridiculous rules. I'm very surprised to hear Kevin Bentley. But we can say that if you are genuinely coming into this country for that short-term period, that we can have that temporary residence status. And that package together is not only a fair approach, but it will also raise revenues too.
And just to be clear, what has changed since January when Ed Balls said he was money by doing it?
Well, we've worked out a solution, which is the temporary residence arrangement. And that allows us now to make sure that we're not going to see this massive deterrence coming into the UK. Ken's point is that for those staying much longer than that, 15 years, 20, suddenly we're going to see this massive blight, this behavioural impact, as it's so called, in tax parlance. We didn't see that with the 50p regs. We didn't see it with the bankers' bonus tax. We hear this time and time again. People, if they want to live in London or the UK, they'll base themselves here. And if they are based here and their home is here, they should pay their fair taxes like everybody else.
Now, to get Miliband, sort of give an interesting game away today. He told the Lebanon in a meeting, it didn't matter whether this earned any money or not. He would do it, even if it didn't earn money, even if we lost some of the people, they went home, and we lost some of the income tax that they are paying. They're paying, the non-doms paying 6 or 7 billion in income tax a year. He
So even if he loses some of that, he would go with it because he's doing it for moral as well as economic reasons. Now that is, isn't it, the politics of envy?
No, and you had, unfortunately, you had the very clear piece earlier on when he said it was for both reasons of yield and fairness.
So would you do it if you lost your money? Would you? We had an independent inquiry, and let's face it, you haven't done that. You haven't got
To lose money.
If you lost money from it, would you retract?
I think on a very conservative estimate, you had Johnny Warm on your piece. Yeah. He was looking at very, very conservative estimates. He says $1 billion. We're being even more conservative than that.
I don't think this calculation
we think would be absolutely an assumption you could make. But the yield is important because we've got to pay down the deficit, George Osborne.
But if you didn't, couldn't make the limit.
But the fairness point is important too.
But if we got an expert in and said, you're going to lose money out of this, because unlike I've yet to say people would leave. That's what Ken Clark is saying. So if we got someone to arbitrate,
I have the greatest of respect for Ken. Of course I do. We're constituency neighbours. But on this, he's on the wrong side of the argument. And I do have to say, Ken, in the best lawyer in the world, whose side are you on this question? You're either with the 99% of the public who reside here, who make their homes here, and have to pay their tax wherever it comes from in the world. But why should we have a rule for that jet set, that lucky few, just because they've got some tenuous foreign connection? It's totally unfair. Ken has got to go.
Ken Clark.
Well, firstly, of course, I agree that you need a fair tax system which raises most of its money from the rich. That's what all governments are doing, should try to do, and that's what we've been trying to do. I think Chris, with great respect, just given the game away. They're not abolishing the non-domicile rule, they're renaming it. And when of course, you will apply if you're only temporarily here, if you're not based here, if you're intending to go back.
So you agree with that as a solution?
That's the origin of the
You think it's right? As a solution, and you think it's right? We have that temporary residence arrangement. We get rid of the status for those claiming that they're here temporarily when actually they are based here, their homes are here. That's unfair, isn't it?
If they're based here, their homes are here, they intend to come here, this is what they regard as their natural base. That, not in the most expert way I put it, but that is their domicile. They pay tax here. The non-domicile rule is for those who actually have their base elsewhere and are here for a particular purpose. Sometimes because they like London and they spend a lot of money, which doesn't harm, and they pay a lot of money for VAT, stamp duty, and so on. And we just, George, tightening up on stamp duty and other things. But otherwise, what you're doing, you've already moved away from an Ed Miliband assertion. You're going to abolish the non-domicile. You're just giving it another title in order to make it sound politically attractive to the vast majority of the public. As I said, to whom the existence of the domicile-based for tax is
my constituents absolutely want their politicians to clamp down on tax avoidance. We know we've got to take real action on this. You're either going to stand up and actually make some principled decisions here, which will also bring in money that will create a fairer system, or you're going to shy away from that. And I'm really surprised and quite disappointed that we're seeing Tory MP time after time today defending the situation for that wealthiest 1%.
Last question for you, Chris. A foreigner comes here with a lot of money and spends some money here. And they make the money overseas, they come here and spend on a cleaning set, or security guards, or drivers. Is that good for the British economy, or are these rubbish jobs that you don't want?
We want, of course, people to come into the country. We want inward investment. We want, of course, businesses and globally to locate in the UK. But if they come to the UK for more than that temporary period, they've got to pay the same tax rules as everybody else. That's what they have in New York or in the United States or most other developed countries. Why should Britain always be in this different unfair situation?
Well, look, hang on there, both of you, because I want to bring it out to journalists, commentators, players, call you what you will. Mary Ann Seacard, do you want those super rich here? Or even if there was a bit of an economic cost to saying goodbye to them, would you actually be happy to see some?
Well, I'm very flattered that lots of people from all over the world want to live in London. But what worries me is the cost to social cohesion, because what we have now is a new overclass, which is just as socially excluded as what we used to call the underclass.